Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on where you are. And I hope you are all doing well. In our lab, the name is Nanomechanics Lab, and we work with the polymer thin films for application in as a biosensors and soft robotics and soft actuators and things like that. However, today I'm not going to talk anything technical. I'm not going to talk about my research or the publications or papers. I'm going to talk about an area which I'm extremely passionate about besides my research, and that is, as Rakesh said, it's a rural school education. So I started some work towards this rural education, and I thought that this is a very right platform to share with you something that we have done and doing, and also some plans that we have in future. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to talk on this mentoring rural students for future India. So coming to the topic of mentoring directly, mentoring is something that you have all heard of and you know about. And it is very likely that you have been mentored at some point, or you have mentored somebody at some point in your life. And thus, you know how important, how powerful, and how potential this mentoring is. In the Indian context, if you step outside, you will see that this mentoring is primarily seen or observed in the industry or the corporate setup, where the employees are mentored for their growth in the professional ladder, particularly by their boss or the seniors or the friends or the well-wishers. There are some school mentoring at the school levels, which is done primarily by the, let's say, the NGOs, some volunteers, and sometimes by the employees of some companies as a part of their CSR scheme. However, that mentoring is primarily, confined within the career growth, job search, job market, and maybe at the most the admissions in the better colleges. But we realized that now this is a critical time to actually enhance the quality of the education and the school education in particular, and also to strengthen the skill sets of our graduate students who are going to land into the professional world very soon. Now, keeping that in mind, the question is, can we bring this mentoring at school level? Now, why at school level? So, well, is it only to find the admission in the college or university? Well, not necessarily. The school has actually more than that to provide. Now, school helps in developing knowledge and skill. We all know that, we agree. The school helps in getting admission to a better colleges and university, agreed. But the other important thing is that the school helps in the personality, attitude, and most importantly, the growth of the aspirations and at the formative age, right? That is a very important thing. And for these, for these things to actually grow, it is for these things to grow, this personality, attitude, and aspiration, it needs certain components. It needs certain key elements, and mentoring is one such. Okay, and this is particularly I'm talking about at the rural setup. Now, just before going further, these are some of the examples of some mentoring programs. This is across the world, and this is in India. And across the world, the Big Brother, Big Sisters, those who are familiar with, you know that it is a very successful mentoring program and doing extremely well. There are couple of others, Raise and I Have a Dream in New Zealand. They're very nice programs. The Mentor Circle has started in Singapore University. That's also a good one. In India, however, we have only very few mentoring programs, and these are some of the examples. I'm sorry if I have missed out any. And some of the programs are running extremely well, and some of the programs are at a slow pace. And if you look at it, that most of the mentoring programs in India are actually provided by the NGOs or the elders or some employees from the different companies, etc. Now, fine, we agreed that mentoring is important in school, but now the question is, who can mentor the school students? Of course, the parents, the elders, the school teachers, they are the frontline mentors, I would say. However, this is slightly different when we look at or compare the urban education versus rural education. Maybe for urban education, this parents, elders, and school teachers are enough to act as a mentor. That is because the diversity that is there in this domain is actually quite a bit, quite large. When I say diversity, I mean the diversity in terms of their exposure, their thought process, their approaches, and those things. So when they put these things together, they can actually mentor, provide a good mentoring to the kids. However, when it comes to the rural education, it is slightly different. Why? Because there is not much diversity among these parents, elders, or school teachers at the rural setup. They are very much similar, except the difference of some qualifications here and there. So if anybody from the privileged layer or from outside can come and actually help these rural school kids in their academic, professional, personal, emotional, social skills, that would be really wonderful. So one of the options is that if the students of the premier institutes as elder brother and elder sister can actually come and provide this mentoring to the rural school students. So that is the core of our mentoring program. So, excuse me, as you see, the students of the premier institutes mentors the rural school students. That's what we are showing here. And that is the core of this mentoring program that we are working on and we are trying to develop. Now, the question is, why student-to-student mentoring? As we have seen that, and I have also mentioned, that in India, normally the mentorings are offered by elders or by the social volunteers or the NGOs, sometimes from the employees from the companies. But we would like to tap on one of the biggest resources of our country, which is the educated youths. And believe me, this is really one of the biggest resources of the country. So can we mobilize this potential and make the use, when I say make use, I mean the positive sense, in actually helping the underprivileged to grow. So that is why we think that the student-to-student mentoring will be extremely useful. And the number two is, as you see here, the mentor and the mentees, they both gain significantly. So what do I mean by that? Well, when a mentor from the urban areas comes and particularly the students from the urban areas, they come and provide mentoring to the rural kids. Of course, the rural kids are benefited in multiple ways, right? In the academics, in the personal, in the development of social skills, etc. However, if you think in a different way, you will also find that the mentors, particularly the graduate students, let's say, or the students from IITs or other premier institutes, they also get significantly benefited. How? Now, this mentoring mechanism gives them the platform actually to hone their skills and also to deliver their social responsibility. And not only that, this also gives them the platform to actually get an experience of nurturing somebody or mentoring somebody, which helps them when they enter into their professional fields. So in this way, we see that there is a mutual growth of the mentor and the mentees. And besides that, indirectly, we also see that this also helps in connecting the premier institutes with the rural schools. That's another additional benefit that we can see if the student-to-student mentoring happens. Now, keeping these broader ideas in mind, we have actually come up with an initiative which is called Teach to Learn. This is just an initiative that we have given name. And well, the main idea, the core idea here is that we like to connect the premier institutes of the country with the rural school under the bigger umbrella of peer teaching, peer learning. That's the broader idea of this Teach to Learn. And how we do is we come up with different education models, and then we implement in the rural schools to pursue our objective of connecting the premier institutes and the rural schools. Of course, mentoring is there. That is actually the main theme there, but that's the broader idea of this Teach to Learn. So I will be talking about some of the initiatives that we have started here, but the more details you can find in our website, which is www.teachtolearn.co.in. I would invite you to go and browse this to get more details. Okay, now coming to back to the mentoring. So when we talk of mentoring, we can actually divide it into two parts clearly, particularly sitting in the academic institute. One is academic mentoring and the other is general mentoring. So in the academic mentoring, primarily it is the assistance, support and guidance in knowledge gain and skill development, whereas the difficult one and the challenging one is the general one, it's assistance, support and guidance towards personality or human development. So what I will do is, the academic mentoring is something that we have started with. So I will talk about some of the initiatives that we have taken here. And the general one is something that we have actually not started, but we have started formulating the plan, and we are planning to launch it early next year. So I will talk about that idea as well. Now, coming to academic mentoring. So these, as I said, that in Teach to Learn, we come up with different education models and we implement those in the rural schools, keeping this academic mentoring or the connections of the two different institutes or two different layers in mind. Now, these are some of the models: one lab, one school, trend, C-4, and the other one is teach in 10. So I will go very briefly into each of these so that you get an idea about what is the objective and what we are trying to achieve. And then, of course, the details are there in our website. Okay, 1 second. It's not moving to the next. Sorry about that.
Can we just stop sharing and then try again, sir, or else go back to normal mode and then come back to slideshow mode, sir?
Yeah, that's okay. All right. I'm sorry about that. So coming to that one lab, one school. So what is this? The idea is very simple. One lab is, like, as you know, the constitutes of MTech, MS, PhD scholars from IIT and also some undergraduates depending on the lab, adopts one rural school, rural government school, and provides mentoring in the areas of academic and career counseling, primarily to the 9th grade students. So, and this mentoring is done, is in a very structured form, and I will explain you what is the structure. So as I said, one lab will be connected to one rural government schools, and they will mentor over a period of time for about 2 to 3 years at least. And we start with the 8th or 9th grade, depending on the schools. Now, this is the structure. There are 3 primary domains of this mentoring. One is called skill-based, which essentially deals with the details of the daily used devices. I will come to that. And there are 2 other domains: concept-based, which is basically the science in everyday life, and the research-based, which is what the students do from research. They take in the lab, they take directly to the school. The core of our program, is actually the skill-based one. The skill-based, where we talk about the details of the devices that we use in a daily life. So I will come to that, what we mean by this. So what exactly happens? In a very brief, I'm not going to the details. Now, one lab, right? One lab, which is, let's say, about 6 to 8 or 10 students of a mixed group, they visit one particular school 6 or 7 times a year. Every time they visit, they carry a new device. I will talk about what these devices are. And they carry the multiple copies of those devices. Now, typically, a lab, as I said, will have about 6 to 8, sometimes 10 members also. So they will visit 6 to 7 times and go to school, these rural schools from IIT campus, and then they will carry the devices. Now, what are these devices? Now, as I said, these are very simple devices. We actually start as simple as a soap dispenser and something like cycle bell, weighing scale, and then slowly, actually, we raise the complexity of the devices that they carry, depending upon, of course, the lab's choice and interest as well. Electric iron and hair dryer and things like that. And what do they do is, they actually, as you see here, we have actually here dismantled the hair dryer. Now they open, they dismantle this device, and they go to each and every components of this device, and then they explain the functionality, the application, the principle behind it, and also how the same physics or the mechanism here is connected to or can be applied in the other devices. So this is in a brief what they do in when they visit a school. I will give you a little bit more idea how a typical day visit looks. So as I said, a group, a lab from IIT campus, they leave around 6:30 in the morning, depending upon the distance from the school. They typically reaches the lab reaches the rural school before assembly, and then instead of directly going to the device, what they first do is they get the students excited with the everyday science presentation. What does it mean? As I was showing, the one of our domains is like everyday science, which we call as a tell me why. So tell me why is typically some of these interesting questions that these graduate students or these IIT students, they explain these rural kids. I will give an example. For example, why popcorn pops, or why milk overflows but water does not, right? So these are some of the things that they typically explain them through audio visuals, through PPTs, or sometimes through the board. The whole idea is to excite them, to make them ready, so that they don't feel bored when they go to the next session. And also another idea is to develop the relation between the students, the IIT students and the rural students. Once that session is done, then they go to the main session of demonstration, teaching, training of the device by the lab. So in this, as I said earlier, they will open each of these devices and they go into the details of it. They actually break it into groups, and each mentor will sit with about 8 to 10 such rural students, and then they will open it, explain it, talk, discuss, have fun, all these things. Now this happens up to the lunch. Now after lunch, when they come back, the same devices, actually the school students, they dismantle and in front of a mentor and explain in the similar way that it is done in the pre-lunch session. So in this process, actually what happens is, besides learning about these components, the students of IIT and the students of the rural school, they actually get a chance to interact among each other. And believe me, you will see that after 1 or 2 visits, they actually look forward to that visit. Both the school kids as well as the IIT students, they look forward to these visits because they get attached somehow to these school students. So that is what happens in typically in a day visit in one lab, one school model. And I just want to point out one thing, that here the main idea is not actually to teach or train them with these devices. The main idea is actually to trigger their interest, and also through interaction, and also to show them like as an hands-on of whatever theories they have learned in their school books. So that's why these devices are also designed such that these are compatible with the school syllabus. Okay. Now this is some of the pictures from some of our visits. There are more pictures in our webpage. As I said, the school reaches the lab reaches the school before assembly, and then as you see, they start with a everyday science question. The students are here. They are actually presenting for the entire class now at the beginning, and then they break, as you see, they break into small groups. Each group is having one mentor, which means one graduate students or undergraduate student depending. And then this is after the lunch, as you see here, that the student groups are actually now dismantling. They're asking question among themselves. They're asking question to the mentors and things like that. So this is some of the moments from our visits to the schools. Okay, so that is in brief about our one lab, one school. Now let me take you to another model, which is called Trend. Now this is a training in engineering and devices. The core philosophy is same as one lab, one school. However, in one sense, this Trend complements one lab, one school. How? For example, as you see that in one lab, one school, the labs are going to the school. So in a day, there is a constraint how much they can travel. The farthest that our labs are going is about 160 kilometers from Chennai, which is in Vellore district, and that is about takes about 2.5 hours. So 5 hours is gone on the road. Now the question is, what happens to the remote areas, other districts, other places which are far from IIT Madras? Well, essentially, the premier institute at those places are supposed to take care of these respective catchments. But before that happened, right now we are actually, what we are doing is, we are bringing these kids from the rural remote areas to IIT campus, hosting them for about 8 or 10 days, and providing them this device engineering and teaching training by our students. Now, and then they go back and then they teach the fellow students in the same class or in the other classes. So this is what is done in Trend, and in this model is where the undergraduate students also get an opportunity to get involved and provide training, because here, I mean, the schedule is a little flexible, so they can come in anytime and provide the training and then go back to their classes. And this is an example. In like this December, we had 50 students and 17 teachers coming from 17 schools from 12 districts of Tamil Nadu, and we had this week-long residential training. Now, I would like to mention here, it is not only the students. You will see the rural teachers when they come here, and when they get to see these things, they get to see how the different approaches are actually taken. Interesting approaches are taken by our graduate students to teach. They also get very excited. They also learn new things, and they take back these things to their schools. And also we provide them the documents, so that if they want, they can teach to the other classes using the same documents that we are using to train the kids here during the residential program. Okay. Now this is one group of trainers that helped us in training these kids. There are other groups as well like this. So if you look at it broadly, I can divide this trend into 3 major steps. The first is that we develop this awareness among the different beneficiaries through demonstration, presentations, and talk, because it is extremely important that we need to raise this awareness for 2 reasons. One is to spread the concept, and the second thing is that also to get the input from there, so that we can tune the models accordingly. And then we provide training to the school students in device engineering by IITM students. And then they go back and then they teach their fellow students through posters and sometimes by PowerPoint presentations as well. So these are some of the moments from our December workshop that we had. And as you see that this is some of the moments captured from the day, where, and then the picture on the left hand side shows some of the students are presenting. Actually, these are the batches that are presenting, first 3-year student batches presenting to the next year batch, and of whatever they have learned. And here, I do not know, you can see, but this is the director of the school education board who is there, who visited during this workshop. Now, in One Lab, One School, we have in the first year, we have actually 11 labs which mentored 11 schools. Second year, it was about 12 labs that mentored 12 schools. Third year, we were about to take off 15 to 20, but then we could not do this in the summer. So at present, there are actually about 24 labs that are mentoring 24 rural schools. Now, this gives you an idea about our implementations. As you see here, this is a Chennai. This is the map of Tamil Nadu. The green triangles are One Lab, One School, and the red ones are Trend. Now, as expected, as you see, the green, that One Lab, One Schools are mainly clustered around IIT Madras or around Chennai. That's because of the constraints in traveling. Whereas the Trend, we can take as far as to, we have only gone up to Dindigul, we can actually have a plan to go even Kanyakumari. So that's the whole idea of the Trend. But actually, the idea is that, okay, the NIT Trichy will take care of the regions around it. But at present, this is what our implementation looks like. And the funding for this entire Trend, One Lab, One School, comes primarily from Verizon. And we are very thankful to them. Now, another model that we talk about, C-4. Now, this is actually what we started with. And this has become quite popular already. This is, again, very simple. It's nothing new that we are doing. But only thing is that we are putting in some structure form so that it can be applied in the school education system. So the model hypothesized that in a school, if trained and mentored, a student studying in standard or class C, whom we call C students, will be able to successfully teach a class of students 4 years junior to him or her. That is standard C-4. That's where the C-4 comes into picture, into the name. So for example, Students of class 8, if trained and mentored from time to time, can teach class 4 students, that is C-4, successfully. That's the simple idea. But there is some element of uniqueness that I will explain what is that we have. And I'm sure many of you actually have taught in the class to their juniors and things like that, and juniors, and sometimes even to the same class, right? This is nothing new, as I said. But here we provide a training that's basically the unique about this particular model. So what is the 4 steps, major steps? So we select and bring C students to IIT campus. So typically we bring about 6 students from each school, and normally in one workshop we go for about 10 such schools. So we about 55 to 60 students we bring in one for one workshop to IIT campus. And then we provide the training on the 2 aspects, the non-cognitive and the cognitive aspect, which again I will go to the next slide and tell what exactly this is. And then the C students go back to their schools, and then they take the C-4 students following certain schedule that we come up with in discussion with the coordinating teacher that is there in the school and among us. And then throughout the year, we do the mentoring and monitoring from our project office. We visit sometime, we talk to them over phone, we talk to the kids, we talk to the headmasters and get the constantly feedback. Sometimes it so happens that depending on the schools, we need to tune a little bit here and there as well. So coming to this training that I was talking about. Now, when this is, as I said, this is an in-house training for about 8 days, 7 to 8 days. And then we bring them to IIT campus, we host them here. Now, when the students come in the first day, first hour, you won't believe that almost out of 100 kids, 99 of them will not raise their head. They're so shy, they're lacking confidence and things like that. So anything that you want to teach them, or anything that you want to actually prepare them to, first you have to get rid of that. That is extremely important. So what we do is we go through a couple of ice-breaking sessions and make them feel very comfortable as much as possible. Then we go to these 2 trainings. One is the non-cognitive and the cognitive, which are essential components when somebody is going to teach in a class. Now, before I explain this, I would like to emphasize one thing, that through this model, we are not planning to produce teachers, or we are not trying to create teachers. Okay, what we are planning, or our objective is to inculcate in these students, in these kids, the qualities of a teacher. That's the whole idea is. It is not about creating teacher, but some of the qualities that a teacher should have, we are trying to inculcate to grow among these kids. That is number 1. And the number 2 is we are trying to also give some exposure to see if they can find or discover their own skill and strengths. So what is the non-cognitive aspect? Now, when you teach in the class, it is not enough that you are knowledgeable and good in the subject. You need to connect well with the students. You need to make the teaching very interactive. You need to do a good time management, because you plan something and then you can only cover half of it. That doesn't help, right? So, and you also have to do the good resource management. For example, how to use Blackboard, how to stand in front of a blackboard so that the students can see properly, how to communicate with the kids. So these are the things which we give training through some trainers, professional trainers, which we call as a non-cognitive or the interpersonal aspect skills. And after that, after these 2.5 days, when we see that they are ready, they're ready to basically receive, you will see there is a huge shift after they get this training. After those ice-breaking session, you will see there is a huge shift in their body language, in their confidence level, in their enthusiasm, everything. And you will happy to you will actually enjoy that moment. And that will also tell that they are now ready. Whatever you give, they are actually ready to take it and deliver. So with that, we go to the cognitive part. So in that, what we do is we give train them with the most essential part of the teaching. And what are that? So whenever you want to teach, I feel there's 4 broad steps. It is a lesson planning, lesson preparation, lesson practice, and then lesson delivery. So what we have is we have a separate module, very well structured for each of these, and we have the trainers. Sometimes these trainers are the teachers from the schools, and sometimes they are also from the IIT faculty, and sometimes even they are also our IIT students. So we constitute a training team, and then and we have these modules so that they provide this training to these kids in a very systematic way. So now, as you can understand, with the first couple of days on non-cognitive and the next few days on the cognitive, they kind of have an idea. I won't say that we can actually make them really ready as a teacher. That's not the idea, but at least the ingredients that they need to have before they go and start teaching is what they have now. And that's what I said, this is kind of one of the uniqueness of this program. And we build this module in such a way so that anybody want to take this to other places, they can actually take our module and implement that, and we will be very happy to help them and even do the hand holding at the beginning. So these are some of the pictures or the moments from our from our models. As you see, the kids, they have arrived to the IIT campus, and then the training is going on. The training at a different way, sometime in classroom, sometime outside the CRC. This is actually outside your CRC building, classroom complex, those who are familiar with it. And then, as you see in the step 3, they go back and they're teaching in their own class to their, not own class, sorry, the 4 years junior to them. And then we visit the schools sometimes, let's say once in a month, and also we interact with the coordinator teacher there and see how things are going. So these are the 4 broader major steps that are involved in a C-4 to give you an idea about it, and also some of these pictures from our implementation. Now, these are some of the testimonials that we have put in one slide that we have seen. And one of the feedback that we have got from major feedbacks that we got from some of the teachers are actually more than 2-3 schools. They said is, I do not know how they are teaching, whether their teaching has improved or not, but what they said is they have definitely found a change, that these kids are now more active and coming forward to take, to participate and take the leading role in some of these activities and events. And we feel that is actually one of our objectives that of the C-4 model. And so far, we have implemented in about 12 PUMS. PUMS is Panchayat Union Middle Schools around Chennai, 10 schools in Midnapur district, West Bengal, 10 schools around in Chengalpettu, Tamil Nadu, and then these 20 schools we were supposed to have this in this June, but we could not do that, and because of this current situation. Now, this is Teach in 10. This is I will very briefly go through it, not spend that much time. Now, this is a very simple and it's a slightly modified version of C-4, or it's the next step, I would say, of C-4. It's a web portal containing a 10-minute teaching videos from selected and mentored rural school students. That's what it is. And the uniqueness of this is it is a 3-layered, they undergo a 3-layered modeling. So what is that? So first, they will, of course, we will need to, for any models, we need to have this awareness, then we have the screening, and then we select the students. And then the first layer of mentoring, they go through the school teachers, and we have a definite instruction what the first layer of mentors are supposed to do. The second layer, which is the students, the graduate students or other undergraduate students, they play the major role. So we bring these kids now to IIT campus again, and then these kids, our IIT kids, they actually prepare these rural students to make sure that they are ready in every respect to deliver a lecture and put it in the web. And then, since this is a technical, the things are involved, we want to make sure that it is reviewed by somebody. So the third layer, which is about a week time, they will spend with the IIT Madras or any other premier institute, the faculty, and where they will also have an opportunity to interact with the faculty as well. Just imagine a rural kid is having a direct interactions with the IIT faculty, and then I'm assuming they will learn a lot through this 3-layer of mentoring. And then once it is ready, it will be uploaded in the teaching will be uploaded in the portal. Now here, the major objective is not actually to create a repository of the technical contents. The major objective is twofold. One is motivational, so that any of the other kids or even the urban parents, they see and then they feel motivated. Well, if the rural kid, they can teach so well, so nicely, maybe our kids can also do. So it's a motivational perspective. And the second one is, through this process, these rural kids, they come in closer contact with the students of the IITs, and they will definitely get a significant exposure. So these are the two major the ideas or concept behind Teach in 10. And broadly speaking, the idea is that we take this to every part of the country. So right now we have IITs and NITs almost every district, more than one sometime. And so if each of these premier institutes can cater to the catchment around them, then perhaps we can take it to almost every part of India. Now, of course, nothing can happen without the kind support of our funding agencies. All these initial fundings, I would say the pilot study funding starts at IIT. The IIT Alumni Association funding, sometime from the socially responsible funding, with that we get started, and then we project this to some of the funding agencies. Technip FMC came forward and first funded that first our C-4. Verizon is a very nice to work with them. Actually, they have given us an immense flexibility, and then to implement this one lab, one school and trend. So we acknowledge their support. NCSTC is also funding the DST. This is one of the sister concern of DST. So they are also convinced, and they are also funding us. And SRF foundations and the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhijan, that is the Tamil Nadu Education Board, they are actually helping implementations and actually doing the field work. So definitely we are extremely thankful to all of them. Now, just a few more minutes. We talked about mentoring, and as I said, we talked about this academic mentoring, which we are doing, and it is running at I would say full pace. This current situation has actually reduced our pace. Now let us go to the other aspect, which is a general mentoring, and this is the most difficult one, most important one, at the same time difficult in the sense very challenging to implement. So as I said, it is towards the guidance, assistance, and helps towards the personality and human development, or let's say personality development. So it is what we are doing is we are now in the process of formulating this, and we are expecting that in next year, April or March, we should be able to launch this. So we are naming this model as called Mentor India, and the objective is this is a one-to-one mentoring program where a student of a premier institute of the country mentors a rural school student towards his or her overall development. So it is one-to-one connection again. So one student will be connected to another one student of the premier institute will be connected to one student of the rural school, and there will be a mentoring with an objective of primarily the personality development and the growth. Now, I just want to share a little bit about what is the approach that we are planning to take. We have started thinking about. Now, when we talk about any mentoring, there are primarily two approaches. One is the developmental approach, and the other is the perspective approach. So what is the development approach? Development approach is, in a brief, you can say it is more of a supply-demand type of concept. We let the things grow in a natural way. So on the primarily on the need of the mentees. So the mentors does not actually bring any specific objective or specific ideas there. Based on what the mentees will need, according to that, and also based on the mentors skill sets and other things, it will develop. So that is very flexible in terms of the expectation, in terms of the agenda and things like that. And also the mentor takes cues from mentees about activities they would engage. So almost a mentor goes with a free mind, and then depending on the need from the mentee's side, they actually develop things. So that's why it is development. Whereas in the perspective approach, it is kind of, you have a certain set of objectives. You know that these are the areas where these kids need to be mentored. So you go with certain perspective, you go with a certain objective, and you want to accomplish that. Now, each has its merits and demerits. So at present, what we are doing is we are actually trying to combine both of this and not going into a particular one, because we want to take care of the quality as well as we want to make sure that it is consistent and it is sustainable. Now, what are the major areas of personality development that we are planning to take care in this Mentor India? So the four major areas that we are actually now working on, actually we are very sincerely working on these module developments. Self-esteem and self-worth. The kids, the rural kids, if you go and talk to them, you will see they're so low in their confidence. They do not have that self-esteem that which can help them to actually think big. So that is one aspect. Other one is the connectedness. That is one of the major problems in underprivileged areas and the areas which are at risk. So connectedness and social skills, that's actually another area. The third one, which is very, very important, is the motivation and aspiration. Now, when you interact with the rural kids, I have seen that in many cases that they really do not lack the technical sides. They are not poor in the technical understandings or skills. What they have the major problem is they do not dare to dream big. They do just want to see their success around around the things they see around them. So that is where one of the major problems. And remember, the 68% of our populations is in village, and about 72% of our student strength is in schools. So in the school strength is in rural areas. So as you can understand how much it matters for a growth of a nation. So that is another area. And the fourth one, which again is actually this has come with a suggestion from the school teachers. That's the prevention of substance abuse. This is another area which we are planning to focus as far as the personality development is concerned. So we are building a detailed module for this, for how this can be done, when this will be done, what are the activities and events related to this, and when they will be starting and when they will be ending, and things like that. Now, what is the uniqueness that we are thinking of this Mentor India? Again, this is something that people are doing across the world. And what we are thinking that some of the unique elements come in the Mentor India is, by this mentoring process, again, we are connecting our premier institute with the rural school. So we are building this connection, which is very much missing in the current scenario. The second thing is the scalability. So we are actually now building a portal where the mentors will register, the mentees will register, and basically what we will do is, based on that on the requirements and needs and features, we will do the matchmaking. So that's what we are doing. So that means we can basically take this, sitting in IIT Madras, we can take this to any part of the country. Third one, which is one of the really unique one, is we are not just giving guidelines or instruction to the mentors. We are actually planning to train them for about 3 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks through a workshop on different activities of mentoring, role as a mentor, expectation from mentees, handling the odds by trainers from different areas. For example, doctors, we will have a psychologist, we'll have social workers, we'll have teachers, like that, so that this from this workshop, this IIT students actually gain something, and then they also have developed a certain expertise that they need before they go and actually start this mentoring. This is a very difficult part actually, to come up with the modules of training and also to tell how to mentor, but we are trying to slowly come up with that. And we will be very happy, extremely happy, if you join us in this effort as a volunteer, trainer, advisor, or in some other form, because we really need a different ideas and concepts and help to develop this. Now, this is the last slide. Well, this is the long-term goal. Right now, we are working in the project mode. As you see, we are getting the funding from different agencies. We are developing this necessary platform and the foundation. But my long-term goal is actually to come up with a IIT Madras Center for Mentoring. And this mentoring is primarily, again, as I said, to connect the Premier Institute with the rural schools. And mentoring at different capacities, not just academic mentoring, in every different aspect. So my dream, or just imagine that every undergraduate students of IIT Madras, say, is mentoring one rural kid. And they are actually growing together and trying to build a nation. So that is one of my really the long-term goal. And I would be I cannot achieve this goal if I do not get help and support from you. So I hope you will also come forward and help me to reach this goal. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your time and the patience, and thank you from Teach to Learn. Thank you from on behalf of the Applied Mechanics Department, and thank you from IIT Madras. And this is, if you want to email me, if you have any more questions, or even call me, I would be very happy to answer your call or reply to your email. With that, I would like to stop here. I hope that you have enjoyed this talk. And if any questions, I will be glad to answer. Thank you very much. Okay, so
Professor, I can stop sharing and answer their questions. Actually, they
sure,
posted. Yeah, they've received 16 questions in the question section.
sure. Okay. So I will start from what I see from the top.
Yeah,
Can former students participate? Of course, I think the former students or alumni are the biggest resource. In what way? They can bring their experience. They can bring a lot of other networkings. Resources that we need in this, particularly in the form of an experts, trainers, and things like that. And not only that, you can always participate in this with your valuable suggestions that okay, if you do this, maybe this will help. If if you talk to these people, this will be really helpful. That's how you can participate in this. We'll be really glad to have you on our board. uh, yes, so there is another question. Could you tell the rationale behind restricting one lab one school device learning to the 9th class only? Well, this is a debate kind of thing that we had also for a long time. Debate in the sense like when we brought the school teachers, as I said, for every model that we implement, we bring the school teachers first. And because without their support, the headmaster and one school, so at least 2 teachers from each school. So if you have implemented 50 schools, invited 50 schools, that means we had about 100 school teachers. Now, we take the inputs from them. Now, why 9th class? There are 2 reasons primarily. One is they actually are at the stage where this will be extremely helpful to them, and they have also been exposed to some of the basic theories and principles that are required for some of these devices. And the other thing is that there is if you go to the 8th grade, or if you go to the 10th grade is not possible. 11th grade is again something that if you give them the kids in the below standards are going to miss. So some schools suggested 8th, some schools suggested 9th. So based on their advice and suggestions, we thought, and then going through their books, that their science books, the curriculums, we have found that okay, let us get started with 9th. But yes, in some schools we have also done in class 8 as well. So can training be done in remote mode? Recent developments are teaching laboratory-based courses in online mode. So this is actually, yes, we can do. Right now, we are actually exploring the possibility of taking this one lab, one school through online mode, or through this remote mode. Uh, uh, I would say yes, but then one of the major thing that would be missing is that interaction. You will not get to see that level of interaction that happens when they actually visit the school, and then they provide this mentoring. Because here through online it is maybe more appropriate for training, but when it comes to the mentoring, it is actually this interaction is important. But at the same time, we have started this, and we see that some of the lab students actually have now agreed and come forward. They said, okay, yes, whatever we started, we will continue, and as much as possible remotely, online, at least in this period of time. So yes, it is possible, but I do not know if it is going to serve the actual purpose, the core objective of mentoring, but we will certainly can try that. Yes, you may be able to reach more students in remote places via online mode. We are actually now in discussion with IIT Bombay, because they have this engineering technology center, and they said that they will be happy to take this to the other places through their infrastructure that they have. So it is possible, and but only thing is that we are now actually trying to make sure that we understand every details, how the school works, and what is the difficulties and things like that. And but we are slowly going towards the remote online to the online mode as well. Now, being an alumni of IIT Madras, am I eligible for mentoring rural school students? I am in this college at MECO. Of course, yes. And I will actually, if you give your details, I will actually reach to you, because what we said is, for example, we are now actually in talking to some of the universities, not necessarily NITs or IITs, some of the universities in Tamil Nadu, where we're trying to see if we can run the projects in those universities. So if I find a champion who is willing to come forward and actually take the responsibility, particularly about the quality of this and also the implementational aspects, then we'll be very happy actually to take it to the other places. And we have actually started this process slowly. So yes, we will be happy to work with you on this. So next question is, I'm a professor of physics at Central University of Tamil Nadu at Tiruvarur. Okay, good. The district school administration has been the bottleneck in implementing science outreach in rural schools here as by us. Any tips on how to handle this? I think we will be able to help you on this, because we have developed a very good rapport with the education board. And normally we do not go to the district level. We actually work directly first with the education board, which is in Chennai. For example, I do not know if you are aware of Dr. Kannappan, Dr. Kannan. They know us very well. And we have even talked to the Secretary of Education. We have personally met and we have talked about our models, and they said, well, you tell me what you need and you take it, you come up with a plan and we will be able to help you, definitely. So yes, regarding taking permissions, and regarding if you have a good model or if you want to implement any of these models in a modified form in your school, we will certainly can talk to the education board, to whoever now there is as a project director or as a middle school director or as a high school director, and can help to some extent, as much as possible. Has been there any improvements in the academic performance of these rural kids due to the special training they have received from your team? I'm very glad that you have brought up this question, because we have a statistics actually which I have not presented. So there are statistics which shows the improvement in different aspects. Some of them are showing marginal improvement, some of them showing a good improvement. Now, so I will just tell you one example that we test. So we actually have a different survey sheets through which we take the survey, and then based on that we do the statistical analysis. Now, one such analysis is the pre-test and the post-test. So when the graduate students, they actually start, let's say they are carrying a hair dryer as an example. So they give a questionnaire based on hair dryer, just to check whether they are familiar with some of these things. This is the pre-test. Now, after they go through this, the same question paper is given at the end of the day to see if they have learned anything from that as a test of the short-term retention, and also what bare minimum knowledge they have gained. This is one thing. And also at the end of every year, what we do is we conduct a test based on all the devices that the schools have taken, and we see if the long-term retention or what they have learned throughout the year, at least those devices are concerned. Now, what interesting thing that we have found is, which is more of a qualitative way of the observation that we made, is that these kids are coming up nicely to demonstrate these devices when they're teaching to the others. They're not coming up with nice schematics. They're coming up with the nice demonstrations. They are improvising on their setup, and while they're teaching in the class or while they are actually demonstrating. So these are some of the small things that we are seeing and noticing. But as far as the other survey-based tests are concerned, yes, we have statistical data, which I'm not going to present. So I have it, but I'm not going to present, where some aspect shows improvement, some aspect shows a very marginal improvement. Is the alumni can involve in any form of mentoring program? Yes, as I said earlier, certainly in many different ways. Now, is there any quantitative model to track and or understand the progress teachers, students, mentor, mentees? That's, as I said, we have done the detailed analysis of this based on these 22 labs, the survey results, that data we have got. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not showing that data particularly in this talk, but we have not come up with any definite model. We have just SPS statistical package we have used. One of our project associate have used that and actually done the details analysis of that, and trying to find out what is that improvement or gain or where we are lagging and things like that. And then another question is isn't that one second. Given the academic pressure at IIT Madras, in terms, I skipped some question. Okay, yes. Isn't that developmental approach lays a strong base for perspective approach? You are right. You are right. But the reason I have told them separately, actually, as you see, they are very well connected. They are actually connected among themselves. I mean, you cannot really separate out. But just since we are beginning, we are trying to keep them as a separate so that we don't mix up things at the beginning. But otherwise, yes, they are kind of very connected. So which one should come first? We really do not know, because the literature is that we find, the limited literature that we find in world, from the studies from across the world, which tells that, well, sometimes this developmental approach is better, sometimes this perspective approach is better, depending on the sample, depending on your geographical location. So we are little what to say, little careful, and we have to make sure that we do not mix at this stage. But yes, certainly it is right that it lays a strong base for the perspective approach. In terms of general mentorship, would you be venturing into mentoring in controversial topics, example, religion, caste, politics, equality, tolerance, etc.? Or do you rather say that these are not something a school kid should worry about? This is, I'm really very happy that you have brought this up, this question, because this bothers me a lot. Bothers me in the same way it is bothering you. That's why I see the question. However, let me tell you one thing. Two things. One is we are in the process of setting up this mechanism. So we want to make sure first that the mechanism is well set. Then we go to this slowly into these areas. For example, we have got similar questions from many places, that are you only talking about only science and technology? What about the humanities aspect? So that is where kind of we are talking about the mentoring on the personality development aspect. And this personality development aspect indirectly will take care of some of this. I'm not telling that it is going to take care of this entire set or this exactly these things that you have mentioned, but indirectly they will take care of this in the way, for example, if somebody is made aware of these things through their interactions with the mentors, then they will be at least able to choose between good and bad. For example, just one thing I would like to share. One thing that comes to my mind is that there should be only one specific training among the school kid to tell that you should not destroy in a nation's property. For example, you become angry and you break things in stations, or you put fire into some of the houses and things like that. Even this particular thing, these small things need to be taught or need to be mentored for this particular thing for the school, and that should begin at the school level, so that when they grow up, before they break or before they destroy, before they put fire, they will at least think, well, this is what I've been taught, should I do that? So I completely agree with that, but at this stage we are not there yet to touch these topics, but we will certainly look into this indirectly, maybe at the beginning. Given the academic pressure at IIT, is this mentoring an additional pressure for the mentor students? Well, this is a very valid question, because let me tell you, if you enjoy something, it is never a pressure for you. That is what we all believe and we all know, right? And it is something not which is forced on you. Please remember, this is not something credit based or something like that. Somebody who is willingly coming forward, somebody who is spontaneously coming forward is or are going to be engaged in this. And if somebody is extremely enthusiastic, this is not going to be an additional pressure for them. In fact, let me tell you, in fact, these labs, who's the visits, they think that this one-day break is actually a very good break for them, and it's a fun for them, because before the visit, they prepare as a team. They prepare the next day or the previous day or the previous week. They prepare what to deliver, how to deliver. They interact among themselves and things like that. So it is. They said that in their feedback that actually this is a kind of helping them in one way. Although they are spending some physical time, but this is actually giving them a good break and helping them in their research even further. Particularly with they are getting some good feel, and that good feel is accelerating their pace. That's what they said. So I do not think that's a pressure as such. If somebody thinks pressure, they may not be able to join this. Okay. So next question is, sir, please all those slides one to me. Please email me. I will. Please drop me an email, and I have no problem in sending you the slides, and we can interact also further. Could you please explain what do you mean by substance abuse? This is a terminology that we have seen in the literature of mentoring literature, where the primary details it's about some of the drugs that the kids take, some of the other bad habits that they pick up, and this is one of the concerns expressed by the school teachers, that this is in some of the areas, depending on the geographical locations and depending on the backgrounds, because you will be surprised to know that there are schools where 80% of their parents are either single parent, or they are behind the bar, or coming from the slums and things like that. So there they have this as a major problem. So that's what I mean. This is a very technical word that is taken from the literature. But when I say substance abuse, I mean particularly these things, these drug, tobacco, and other things. Next question is, do your program focus on co-curricular activities or school kids also? I'm not very sure about, I understand this question. So do your program focus on co-curricular activities or for school kids also? Well, these co-curricular activities, these come as a kind of, as a bonus with this. For example, what it is that at the end of the day, when you see that when the lab finds that there are some time left, then they play games with them. They have a dance session, or they have a music session and things like that. So in that way, they have a fun together. So co-curricular activities are more used in that way to actually develop this connection, to have fun, so that they're not bored about only the technical things. Is this process can happen online? Would you like to join as a mentor? Would like to join as mentor? Definitely, please get in touch with me. Please drop me an email. I will be in touch with you. And yes, we can do online. We just have to come up with a design the module appropriately, so that we can make the best use of that time, and we can reach to the students appropriately. Next question is whether the professors, HODs, and dean councils coach and mentor their faculty and research scholars. Well, this is a question which is, I do not know, it is very relevant to this particular mentoring, whether the professors, HODs, and dean councils coach and mentor their faculty and research scholars. Yes, they do, because there are some programs at IIT Madras for mentoring their, the young faculty. But I'm not very sure about their effectiveness, so I do not want to comment on that. But yes, as a faculty, we definitely mentor the research scholars. For all the research scholars that have, besides training them with the particular skills, besides talking about the technical, building the technical skill sets in them, we definitely mentor them throughout these 4 years or 5 years they are here. So what is the procedure to participate as a mentor for alumni? We can talk about it over email or over phone, because it also depends on how much time you can afford. It also depends on what is the strength that you can bring, so that you also enjoy it, and we also can get benefited from you. How can a CSR foundation can volunteer or be a part of this program? Is actually, if you look at it, this is extremely important for us. For example, if you look at the TechNIF, as I said, TechNIF FMC, they have funded us. We have the Verizon. The Verizon India, they are actually funding us for 3 years. They are consecutive 3 years from their CSR funding. So all we have to do is you have to get in touch with our IIT Madras ICSR cell, or can directly approach me, and I can connect you to ICSR or IIT Madras, because everything happens through IIT Madras. We run the project. All this money and all these things actually comes to IIT Madras, and we run this project and we get reimbursed. So the accounts and everything is controlled by IIT Madras, which have a very structured mechanism to do that. So for CSR, if you can come forward and help us, that will be really wonderful. You can write to me, or you can also talk to IIT Madras ICSR. Our Professor Ravindra Gettu is the Dean of ICSR now. Yes, that is another important and very sensitive question. Will the medium of instruction be in the local language? Well, yes, that's actually one of the challenges that we are facing. But all the what we do is, when in the lab, when they visit, we make sure that during each visit, at least there are, out of these 8 or 6 students that are going there, at least 2 or 3 of them are in Tamil speaking. So yes, the local language helps at the beginning, particularly at the first couple of visits. It definitely helps. It definitely helps to develop that connection with the kids. But later, slowly, as you will find that the students also understand that, okay, how to. Basically they understand what the Anna and Akka are trying to teach or trying to tell. So also they get used to. So it is good. Definitely, I would say it is good if we have the local language speaking lab member. But we have also seen that the labs are managing very nicely, even if there is one member. And if sometimes there is only one member there or no member, what we do is from the project office, we send some Tamil speaking project staff so that they can go and help these labs. I'm based in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, and yes, if you are willing to champion there very sincerely, we will be happy to take it there as well. Thanks, Professor Pijush, for opening this window to us through which we come to know about the wonderful initiative. I have been working for entrepreneurship for more than 2 decades. Shall be very happy to join Mentor India as advisory possible. I would be really very happy if you can kindly drop me an email so that we have your contact, and I will save it in a separate folder. So that when we actually start this process of getting in touch with resource people, we will not miss you. It appears that you have not included motor skills and attitudes in mentoring. Yes, some of the things we are actually learning, we will slowly pick up. A lot of things we have learned in the last couple of years, so we are fine-tuning it. So if you are missing out something, is maybe because we are not aware of it or we are ignorant about it. Now, there is another question. Many scholars did not complete a PhD thesis and left IIT. Why? I do not know, and I am not the expert to comment on this in this particular forum. They might have a personal issue. They might have other issues as well. And there's a comment that really it's a great initiative. Why not we do it at every weekdays? I do not know which initiatives he is talking about. With the current situations with the virus spread, how are these programs planned? As I said, it is extremely difficult now because the rural kids, they do not really have an access to the internet and even the mobile phone. But we are now actually trying to see at least if we can reach to some limited number of students through our research scholars. There are some questions which I am not think is relevant to this forum. So can technical staff from IIT Madras can participate? Of course, yes. Of course, yes. We can definitely do that. So you can definitely do that. And as I said, please let me know, and we will keep you in the loop. And then I'm based. That's, I think, getting on the online examination done. Would it mean open book scheme? That's not. I think again I can answer. I'm not the expert actually. As you are connecting with the schools locally, you would have come across the lack of infrastructure since you have a good connections with the government's officials of the education board, where they made aware. Well, I was very surprised, to be very honest, when I visited some of these schools personally, the Tamil Nadu schools, and I found that the class 9 students, the kids, they are sitting on the floor. And then I asked the teachers that is it in every school, is it like that, or why is it like this? So they have their answers, which they said that it is because we do not have enough support from the government. Now, when we talk to the government, the education board, they said they give a different reason. They said that it also lacks initiative on the behalf of the schools. So I do not know what exactly this is, but they lack infrastructure. But believe me, now if you see, infrastructure is not the major issue there. As when I visit the schools of West Bengal and also in Tamil Nadu, I see that infrastructure is a problem, definitely, but that is not the major bottleneck, I would say, because there are a lot of government schemes, and the headmasters who are active enough, they are actually getting funding from that and actually building up a nice school. The problem is in the attitude. The problem is whether you are willing to go an extra couple of pace and then do something for the kids. That is what it is the major problem. If you go to the Tamil Nadu schools, some of the schools, I'm bringing up Tamil Nadu again and again because that's where I visited most number of times. So if you go to most of the schools, they have a computer facility with at least 20 to 25 computers in room, and you will see there is about 1 millimeter of thick layer of dust sitting on it. So that clearly tells about that infrastructure is not always the issue, but yes, it is. It is mainly the initiative, and also one of the important thing that I see is the lack of teachers in the rural school is another major issues. But we can only bring to their notice, but we do not perhaps cannot do much about it. I would also like to mentor DR governments with pre-appointment, and this I do not know what it means exactly. Very nice presentation and great effort, Professor. Thank you very much. Thank you for your compliment. Sir, how will we select him in students for this program? Well, student selection is there are a lot of details. It depends on which model we are talking about. Different models has different ways of student selections. Normally, we give the school the hand to select the students and give it to us. We give certain guidelines, and in some cases, we do select based on our certain test. And these tests are not technical tests; these are tests are just to see whether they are interested and excited about this and willing to participate in that. That's what we do. But yeah, different schools, different models have different way of student selections. But a lot of times we leave it to the schools to actually provide the students. But most of the time we give one instruction. Common instruction is do not necessarily you have to send the first, first, second, or third boy of your class. Please do not do that because of certain reasons. I'm not going into the details. So yes, it's a mixed approach that we take. I mean, IIT Madras students to do this as social service. I do not understand. I think this is in connection to the another of his questions. Yes, so that's what I have, and I hope I have answered most of the questions. And if you are not happy, or if you have further questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. I will be happy to call you, write an email, or whatever to answer to your question. And as I said, it will be really nice if you can come forward and help us in your best capacity. So thank you very much. If there are not any other questions, so I think that's the last question I see. There is one question I see. Excellent, many questions and answers you could handle in times. Thank you very much. So thank you. And then, can we adopt this model in rural schools of Uttar Pradesh? I'm handling an quality education project supported by UNICEF covering all rural school students and teachers. I would strongly request and suggest and you to please get in touch with me. I will be very happy to implement this. We will be very happy to implement this at your place. Only thing is that if you can take care of the things at your end, we will be happy to provide whatever modules we have developed, whatever the experience we have gained and exposure we have got from this. So that you do not have to repeat many of these things. So yes, we will be happy to work with you on that. Please drop me an email so that I can get back to you. Okay. I'm a BTech 2005 passed out from IIT Madras. I used to teach students as a part of NSS scheme of IIT Madras. Presently, I'm working in West Bengal, NIT Durgapur. Is nearest to me. I'm interested in your idea of mentoring. How can it be helpful? There will nobody more happier than me to see somebody from West Bengal telling that I would like to do that, because I'm personally from Midnapur districts, and we have implemented C-4 there in the schools around Chennai, around Midnapur, IIT Kharagpur, with IIT Kharagpur as the hub. And I will be really happy to actually see if we can take this to Durgapur. And so please, I will try to, if I remember your name, yes, I will remember. I will try to contact you. If I forget, or if I'm not able to find your email ID, please get in touch with me. And I will be really glad to see if we can do it there. And funding is not a major issue, I would say to everybody. Funding is not really a major issue. If you are really interested, we can find funding. That's not an issue, particularly that now that we have shown that this is how we do, and we have some credentials. Funding is not a major issue. Only thing is that we need somebody who would be willing to champion there and will be willing to implement the model there. Are you including NSS students for this mentor program? Well, this is a very important point. Now, I have worked with NSS closely for 1 or 2 years, not as a major mentor to them, but just as one of the mentors. What I have noticed in NSS is that it has started with a very good objective, and some of the NSS students are very passionate about it, I understand. But two things. One is the NSS now has evolved in a way that it is more a credit earning mechanism, number one. I have noticed that from very close. And the number two is because the undergraduate students, they have their constraints as far as their availability is concerned. So most of the activities are only around IIT Madras or only around the around Chennai area. So now and they don't they're not willing actually to spend more than some time because of their the schedule, because they're extremely busy with their curriculums, with their semester. So NSS students are good for certain activities. Give them some task which they can do inside the campus. Well, they can do and give it to you. But when it comes to this type of mentoring, when they have to travel, when they have to engage themselves for a week as a training and things like that, I'm not very confident that NSS is appropriate. Although there are a couple of students from NSS group, they are part of our program, so they are very passionate. But in general, I do not think that they can help significantly because of not because of the constraints they have in terms of a time and the semester load. And great initiative, Professor. For a current PhD student interested in doing similar stuff, could you comment on 2 approaches? Become a professor first, think about this later, start a separate system of schools to bring about a change. Well, this is, you have hit the point. You know, what the idea, the principle that I have, that I'm actually believing in, started believing, is that you really do not have to be a Bill Gates to contribute to the society. You did not be a really established industrialist to actually start contributing to the society. So what I mean is, wherever you are within your capacity, you can actually contribute towards the society. So that kind of answers your question. For a current PhD student interested in doing similar stuff, could you comment in the 2 approaches? Become a professor first, then think about this later. I do not really quite agree with that. Even what I would say is that you need to nurture. It takes for some time and ideas, and also you can start some initiative. It may not go in the way you like, but you can always contribute within your capacity, whatever way. Maybe you not be able to start certain initiative, but at least you can get connected to some initiative and contribute in the from there. So that would be my strong suggestions and request, that wherever you are, think about how you can contribute to the society, and you need not be really an established and very rich person to do that. And start a separate system of schools to bring about a change. Starting a separate system of schools first needs an experience, and I would say it's better that we gain some experience first and see how the system works. What is the problem? Don't start anything emotionally. First understand the system, and then slowly find out what are the things that actually really you want to change, and then get into it. Okay. Thanks, Professor. My email is this. I will be sure be in touch with you. I think with that, we come to the end of this, the list of questions that I have. So again, thank you all. Thank you very much.